In the heart of history, a story unfolds, a story not just of a battle, but of a stand for truth that echoes through the ages. This is the story of Imam Hussain, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, and his journey to Karbala. It all began in the year 680 AD. The political climate in the Islamic world was tense. After the death of Caliph Muawiyah, his son Yazid ascended to power, a man known for his disregard for Islamic principles. Yazid demanded allegiance from everyone, including Imam Hussain. But for Hussain, pledging allegiance to a tyrant like Yazid was unthinkable. It meant compromising the very essence of the faith his grandfather had established, a faith built on justice, compassion, and righteousness. Hussain knew that a silent acceptance would be a betrayal of his principles. He chose to stand for what was right, even if it meant standing alone. He famously said, "I have not risen to spread evil or to show off. I only desire to enjoin good and forbid evil, and to follow the path of my grandfather and my father." With this noble intention, he left his home in Medina, a city filled with memories of his beloved grandfather. He was not seeking power or war, he was seeking to preserve the true spirit of Islam. His initial destination was Mecca, the sanctuary city. There, he hoped to find refuge and rally support for his cause. Letters began to pour in from the people of Kufa, a city in modern-day Iraq. They pledged their loyalty and invited him to come and lead them, promising to stand by his side against Yazid's oppression. They sent thousands of letters, each a promise of support. Trusting their word, Hussain sent his cousin, Muslim Ibn Aqil, to Kufa to assess the situation. Initially, the reports were overwhelmingly positive. Thousands gathered to pledge their allegiance to Hussain through his cousin. The path seemed clear, and so Imam Hussain, with his family including his wives, children, and devoted companions, began the long and arduous journey from Mecca towards Kufa. This was not a military procession. It was a family journey filled with women, young children, and even infants. Their presence was a testament to the peaceful nature of their mission. However, the political landscape shifted dramatically and tragically. Yazid's governor in Kufa, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, was ruthless. He used fear, bribery, and intimidation to crush the uprising before it could even begin. The people of Kufa, who had so eagerly invited Hussain, abandoned Muslim Ibn Aqil one by one. Left alone and hunted, Muslim was eventually captured and martyred. Before his death, he managed to send a message to Hussain, warning him not to come to Kufa, for the people had betrayed him. But the message never reached Imam Hussain in time. By then, his small caravan was already deep into the desert of Iraq. Soon, they were intercepted by the army of Yazid, led by a man named Ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He had orders to stop Hussain and prevent him from going to Kufa or returning to Medina. He forced Hussein's caravan to change its course, leading them away from any source of water or civilization. On the second day of the month of Muharram, they reached a desolate, barren land. When Hussain asked its name, he was told, "This is the land of Karbala." Upon hearing the name, a profound sadness fell upon him. He knew this was his final destination, a place foretold by his grandfather. He ordered his family to set up their tents. Here, in this empty desert, they would make their stand. The days that followed were a trial of immense patience and fortitude. An army of thousands, sent by Yazid, surrounded Hussein's small camp of just 70 companions. They were cut off from the nearby Euphrates River for 3 long, scorching days. Imam Hussain, his family, and his companions were denied water. The cries of the thirsty children, including his 6-month-old infant son, Ali al-Asghar, echoed through the camp. Yet, not once did Hussein's resolve waver. Negotiations failed. The enemy's demand was simple: pledge allegiance to Yazid or face death. For Hussain, the choice was just as simple. Surrendering to tyranny was a death of the spirit, a betrayal of everything he stood for. He gathered his companions on the night before the battle, the night of Ashura. He extinguished the lamps and told them, "The enemy only wants me. Take the darkness as a cover and leave, save your lives. I free you from your allegiance to me," but not a single person left. Instead, they wept and reaffirmed their loyalty, saying they would rather be killed 1,000 times than abandon him. They chose to stand with truth, with their Imam, until the very end. The morning of the 10th of Muharram, The day of Ashura arrived. It was not a battle of equals, it was 70 to against an army of thousands. But it was a battle of faith against force, of principle against power. One by one, Hussein's brave companions went into the battlefield, fighting with valor and sacrificing their lives. From his teenage nephew, Qasim, to his elderly friend, Habib ibn Muzahir, each one became a martyr for the cause of justice. The most heart-wrenching moments involved his own family. His brother, Obaz, the brave standard-bearer of the camp, went to the river to fetch water for the thirsty children. He managed to fill the water skin, but was ambushed on his way back. He fought valiantly, losing both his arms, but his only concern was the water for the children. He was martyred before he could return. Imam Hussain was left almost alone, having witnessed the martyrdom of his sons, brothers, nephews, and friends. In a final, desperate plea for humanity, he held up his 6-month-old baby, Ali al-Asghar, to the enemy army, asking for a few drops of water for the dying infant. The response was not compassion, but a fatal arrow that struck the baby in his father's arms. Finally, Imam Hussain himself went to the battlefield. He fought with the courage of a lion, but he was one man, weakened by thirst, grief, and multiple wounds. He eventually fell, and in his final moments, he prostrated, submitting his soul to God. He made the ultimate sacrifice, not for a kingdom or for worldly gain, but for the preservation of human dignity, truth, and justice. Though Imam Hussain and his companions were martyred, their message did not die. The women of his family, led by his sister, Zainab, were taken as captives to Kufa and then to Damascus. But they were not silent victims. Zainab, with eloquence and courage, exposed the crimes of Yazid in his own court. She turned his victory into a lasting disgrace and ensured that the story of Karbala would never be forgotten. She became the voice of the sacrifice, spreading the message of her brother's stand against tyranny. The story of Karbala is more than a historical event, it is a timeless lesson. It teaches us that one must always stand for truth, no matter the cost. It shows the power of patience in the face of unbearable hardship and the meaning of true sacrifice. Imam Hussein's stand reminds us that the number of your followers does not determine the righteousness of your cause. He teaches us that a principled death is more honorable than a life of compromise with injustice. His legacy continues to inspire millions around the world to stand up against oppression and to fight for a more just and compassionate world. The story of Imam Hussain is a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of truth can never be extinguished. It's a story that belongs to all of humanity, a universal call to uphold our principles and our conscience. Thank you for listening. Please follow our channel for more stories that shape our world.